had been a golden afternoon, and I remember having the familiar conviction that life was beginning over again with the sunrise.
There was an event at a couple of my friends' clothing store called A Priori, and Alex has been to an event there before with me. And
probably like one of the better events we've been to.
I knew it was going on, but I wasn't originally like amped on going. But then Stefan texted me directly, to let me know about it, and love it if you'd come. And I just really love being in the vintage and clothing community of, with this crew here in Omaha. So I'm like, I'm for sure going to go. So I mentioned it to you. It wasn't like, you have to commit or anything, but if you're feeling up to it, happy to go with the +1. So I touched base with him between 7 and 8, and he's like, yeah, not going to work. So I went,
at
rolled
first
in
you
solo.
said it and I was like, yes, that sounds good. I was like, it was on Friday.
This is me too. This
Was
is
it
me
Friday?
too. Between like 2 and 6 o'clock at night, I'm like feeling so good.
Yeah.
I'm like, let's stay up late. Let's go see a movie.
Well, and usually on Friday, I'm like, okay, like I can sleep in tomorrow. It doesn't matter. I think it was Friday. Maybe.
I don't even know.
Was it Thursday?
What day is it today?
It was Thursday. 'Cause
Yeah.
we were talking about doing a
No, it was Friday.
pod. No.
Because Stefan had a wedding on Saturday. Yeah,
So
it was Friday. Yep.
So yeah, we just got to Friday, and yeah. With Friday with me, it's like either the energy's there or it's not.
Yeah.
And it was not with me.
So I knew that if I got home by no later than midnight, I could sleep till 6 or 6:30 and hit my 6 hours minimum. And I did. I think I made it till about 6:30. And that was great. I had a great time. The big thing for me was, and again, this is like that. We've talked about this in previous episodes too, just like the introversion, extroversion thing. And, I've dealt with it at NAB and when I went to Poland for motion VFX and just other situations, sort of more normal situations here. And I'm like, I'm rolling in solo. I don't know who I'm going to know there. I'm like, I probably will see a few friendly faces. I told Josh that, it was that night and if he wanted to show up. So I walk in, pan the room. I'm like, I don't recognize anybody. And then I saw Stefan, said hello to him, and then started chopping it up with some strangers. And then my buddy Michael Henning showed up. I'm like, what the hell are you doing here?
Michael Henning's pulling up. I haven't seen him in years.
Right. So we were thrilled to see each other. And then I met some of his friends. By the way, one of his friends rolled up with a gold Contax T2. I was like, dude, I've got the silver one, but we've got the gold. And then some of the other vintage kids that I see at the estate sales and some like at the exchange that you went to, they were there. So it ended up being great. Josh showed up too. And so it was great. And I actually had to make myself leave. We were drinking champagne.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of a gift. I'm like, what, it was an anniversary party for their shop. And I'm like, gosh, I'm kind of coming in late to this. I'm like, what would be a good gift? And I thought, I'll take pictures with my Polaroid and I'll give them pictures of the event with that. So I just I just had an 8-pack in my fridge. So I took my little 90s Polaroid camera there and threw the 8-pack in and did some photos of the guys together and all that. And Stefan was like super thankful. So that was really nice. The gift of analog photograph.
Yeah, the gift of time.
Yeah, that's right.
The gift of...
But everyone was excited too. Like, oh, is that work? Like they know what it is. It's not like they're
That's so funny.
But they're like, oh, and they see the photo come out. They're like, you're supposed to shake it? I'm like, nah, that's an old kind of Polaroid thing. Like there actually was a shake it thing, like for an early version of Polaroid.
Didn't they like, it just caught on? And so they were just like, okay, let's use that as a brand.
I'm sure
marketing.
They've embraced it, yeah, especially with Outkast song and all that stuff. It's just kind of a thing. But you don't have to. It doesn't help. It doesn't really hurt as long as you're not bending it or folding it or anything like that. But all the photos turned out great. One that I popped the trigger a little too quick without kind of half pressing to get focus, and then so there was a couple that were just a touch blurry. But that's also kind of part of the charm of it too. So that was really nice.
Yeah, that's dope. Can't believe it. So that shop's been there for a year. than workshops.
I think it's 2. A Priori is 2 years.
So are they? I mean, they're happy with it.
And I think workshop's 5 years.
Do they have like a preference, or is it just kind of like?
I don't know. I think it's one of those things where it's like, pick your favorite kid. It's hard. You know, they each have their own charms and their own things that they love about them.
It seems like they're spending more time at the A Priori.
I don't know
if that's just I've never seen them in workshop before.
Well, they alternate weeks, and then they've also alternated days now, so that they're mixing it up during each of their weeks, so they're not at one shop all week long. So yeah, it's usually every other week. They trade off, and now they've even traded off days. So, but they've started like screen printing at workshop, and they're gonna make their own shirts, and then also try to do like small batch stuff for other places, other companies, to just build another revenue stream.
The vintage scene is, I mean, it's nothing compared to, I'm sure, like LA, New York, Chicago, Atlanta, but it seems like it's pretty. You would know better than me, but from the outside looking in, it seems like it's pretty robust here.
Yeah, I think the vintage scene from smaller, medium-sized markets all the way up to the big ones like LA, Chicago, New York, LA and New York primarily.
Atlanta, Austin. Yeah,
I would say those are probably secondary just based on population and how prevalent the sort of the art and fashion community is in those cities. But I think vintage clothing and all that, from my understanding, has never been more sort of ubiquitous across the country, and it's certainly a big deal in Japan, where they pull a lot of Americana vintage over there and sell it at ridiculous prices. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I just mean like the demand is high, the supply is low.
It's like the extension or the evolution of streetwear culture.
Yeah, and that's a big part of it too, I think. And they're intertwining, and it's I think it's also if there's a dark side to it, it's a little bit of like consumer culture being propagated on YouTube, and signaling your social status through the high-end items you have. I mean, when I was at the exchange, I had a Type 3 Levi's mid-60s jacket on. They call it Big E. Not that jacket, but that era of Levi's was the Big E era, where the little red tab or sometimes orange tab on the clothing item has a capital E in the Levi's instead of a lowercase e. And that's like a big signifier of specialness of Levi's stuff. So I had that coat on that I thrifted for like $4, and a lot of the vendors could, tell what it was right away. And, I'll be the first to admit that there was like a little bit of a,
check this out.
Well, yeah, that's right. Yeah. I've got this, and and it's coveted, it's not worth.
It's the gold contacts.
Yeah, it's the gold contacts T2 that I just mentioned, and that guy, nobody, my first reason for wearing the jacket.
I'm that fucking asshole that carries around the M9.
Right.
Like, I get it.
And you're, sort of guarded about it. Did you change out the red button? You changed out the red button not to signal. Some of that's safety.
So I don't like this. The fucking, what kind of camera is that? And I'm like, it's an M9. It's like, how do I win this? Like, either you know what it is and I'm an asshole, or you don't know what it is and it doesn't matter.
And sadly,
it's like
I'm the guy that lights up when somebody recognizes something cool that I have. So if I had my Contax T2 and someone was like, dude, is that a Contax T2? Yeah. Like, yep, it sure is.
And it's always cool when somebody recognizes, oh, is that a Leica?
Yeah.
But the kind of, sometimes, like, so maybe it's like 70-30 with people that have there's a lot of people that are just like, oh, that's a cool camera. Is that a film camera? What kind of camera is that? Most people that recognize it have a Leica. They're like, oh, I have a M10D, or like I have an like M10, or like I have an M8, or and they recognize it because that's their camera.
Right.
And then there's the other, like, it's actually a pretty small portion in my experience where people recognize it and they're like, oh my God, that's a Leica.
Yeah.
It's just not because it's like, if you have a Leica, then you probably know what it is. There is a small group of people who like maybe recognize what it is and want one.
Yep.
And I mean, it's fun to have your camera recognized. It's it's fun to whatever, but it is just like you can't win that exchange. Like, oh, what kind of camera is that? It's like Audrey always makes fun of me because I'm just like, it's a M9.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, cool.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, that means nothing to them. I'm like, yeah, but what am I going to say? Like, what else? Like, I don't know. It's a camera. Yeah.
And I think for me with like, like the exchange and cameras and all that stuff is, especially like at the exchange where these mostly young men that vend at because men's vintage clothing is far more sought after and valuable. I'm not saying that it's better than women's vintage. It's just not as prevalent, at least in Omaha. And what I liked about being there was, and I used to thrift for vintage clothing in my 20s, like a lot. It wasn't to resell because, eBay wasn't what eBay and, there certainly wasn't like Depop and Grailed and all these other sites and Mercari and Etsy and all that stuff where you can sell stuff. E-commerce wasn't as prevalent back then. But I just like the celebration of like sought after quality items, especially in today's landscape as far as clothing goes, where I feel like if you go to Gap or Banana Republic or J. Crew or any like department store, the quality has nosedived. And
do you think that's quietly changing? Like,
I think there's
the pendulum swings, and I almost think that this rise in vintage, this rise in old things, like I just think the pendulum is quietly probably like obviously that the whole part of the pendulum quietly and maybe this is just me being wishful thinking, but do you think it's maybe swinging in the opposite direction again to where now, like if quality becomes sought after, then you respond to that by making things that are more quality to get those people?
Yes, but I think the challenge with that is when you're making something high quality and it's brand new and you're selling it, the price point is going to be so high that most people are just going to go towards vintage or, secondhand clothing.
Yeah.
Most of these people that are buying this stuff don't care if it has a stain, a tear, a hole. Sometimes
it was shocking
people want
how beat up some of those.
And there's a whole subset of vintage culture where they want the stuff distressed or completely thrashed. Yeah. They want the shirts faded. They want it to have sort of a visible story. And, I've watched some videos on YouTube about vintage clothing that is thrashed. And I mean, there's jackets from the 70s that are shredded and they sell for $2,000+.
It's nuts to me.
That's not the look that
I have to thrash it myself. Like that's the whole point.
I have a couple shirts, like work shirts, just run of the mill 2015 Carhartt t-shirts that I wore doing all the yard work at my house. There's paint on them, they're faded, not really any rips or holes, but they look like shit. And I'm like, it's not like a fashion statement that I personally want to make, like just wearing it around. Yeah. But I'm like, there's something that I look at that and I can see all of the stories of what I did to the house through those clothing items. And I think there are people that want to appropriate those stories, and it goes back to a conversation we had about provenance and all that. And even if they don't know the exact story, I was watching one video, dude, where these guys, I think it's Bid Stitch. They went to the Levi's headquarters in San Francisco, and the woman who was in charge of the Levi's archive, like the library of the history of all the Levi's stuff, basically.
Yeah.
Now, they don't have every item they've ever made. I mean, Levi's goes back to the mid to late 1800s. But this woman pulls out a drawer, and the story was that, and I'm probably getting some details wrong, but this gentleman was like hiking in New Mexico and came across some like rubble or ruin or something from some kind of little settlement or a mine or something. And there was a stack of rocks. And as he peeled the rocks away, there was a denim coat. And it was like from the 1800s, late 1800s, and it was a denim coat that Levi's itself, the company, did not have a version of.
Yeah.
And it was like covered in some kind of petroleum or something, which actually helped preserve it. It was a mess. And so she pulls out this jacket and like she's got gloves on, the like special acid-free paper and a special acid-free box. And this thing is like, it's covered in something, but it's still intact. You can see the jacket. They pulled up the records from the catalog that showed what type of coat it was back in the 1800s and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, I am just watching this like, this is just magical to me.
Yeah.
Like, this shit is out there.
As long as you're not like selling that. Like, I don't know.
I think that this gentleman,
it's
like,
weird to me if you're like selling that as like it's super cool to like pass down or to put in like a Smithsonian or like in a history museum.
It's gonna stay in the Levi's archive.
Well, and that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like but the idea of like selling something that's beat to shit so somebody can like buy it and not wear it, or like wear it one time to like social signal is just kind of.
And so one of the conversations in those videos has been, is vintage clothing heading toward what we see with like the art world, baseball cards, comic books? I mean, an original Superman Action Comics comic book just sold for over $7 million at auction.
Yeah, it's insane.
And you know that there is a very wealthy person likely who purchased it, and it's going to go into some paid for, vaulted, temperature controlled storage facility where it will gain value and then be an investment asset for that person.
Yeah.
And I think you will see clothing. I mean, there's a pair of Levi's jeans that have sold for high 5 figures. I think there's some clothing items that have sold for 6 figures.
It's like James Dean's Levi's or something.
I mean, this could literally be like a guy went to South Dakota and went into an abandoned mine and found a 1888 pair of Levi's jeans.
Yeah.
And those are worth, and somehow they were preserved. They were in like some pocket of air. I mean, whatever. And like you could literally put them on. They're not brittle or whatever. And those would be worth $100,000+ and maybe even more.
It's crazy to me.
And those types of things will rise in value. I just thrifted today. I stopped at a spot that I go to frequently, and for the first time chatted it up with the owner of the spot. And I was just asking about CRTs. Do people come in and bring CRT televisions that you tell them you don't take? And if so, can you take them and I'll buy them from you? He was surprised that they're sought after and all that stuff. And as I'm looking around his office, he has a bunch of stuff in there that hasn't been put out on the floor. And I'm like, is any of this stuff, is it okay for me to look at it? He's like, yeah, all of it's for sale.
Yeah.
I look in the corner. There's 2 Canon Digicams. I mean, like the one of them's like the 360
Did you just
HS.
not price them yet?
He just like, I just haven't got around to pricing them.
Yeah.
He had a Nickermat FT with a 50 millimeter Nikon 1.4 SC lens on there. I'm like, this isn't like a $700 lens or anything, but it's,
you're like pumped about it.
Yeah, it's a good lens. And then there's like a whole closet full of leather jackets. So I'm like, can I look through these? He's like, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
I flipped through them. There's like a late 40s, early 50s not fighter pilot, but pilot's bomber jacket, a brown leather bomber jacket from I think
dope.
Shot.
When I was a kid, it had the map on the inside.
And this one's even older.
Yeah.
It's by this company called Shot out of New York that made these jackets. And I haven't looked up the research to see if it was military issued or if it's military reproduction. But, the old military stuff is really cool because a lot of it is pretty well made. And other than this being a little dirty, the leather's in good condition. It needs to be cleaned and all that. But that jacket I think I found one on eBay, and that doesn't mean that there aren't others, but with a quick look. And this one, I don't know if it's the exact same tags, all that stuff, but I mean, it was up for sale. It wasn't sold, but it was up for sale for over $400.
Yeah. How much did you, like 20?
I didn't look it up before I offered. So that, and there was another leather jacket that was made in Brazil, kind of the standard heavy metal looking 80s leather jacket, black leather jacket, and all the cameras. And I offered like $115 for it all. And he was like, yeah, take it.
Yeah. Sick.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, get it out of here.
Yeah. He had alluded to sort of like needing the money.
Yeah.
And that wasn't, my cue to take advantage of him, but I wasn't able to test the cameras.
Yeah.
I didn't know if
I mean, at the same time too, it's like, you just happened upon it. It wasn't out there.
Right.
It's, it's like if I found something, I mean, yeah, I'm not going to, unless I know exactly what it's worth, I'm not going to like go through the time to be like, is this exactly this? Or just be like, hey, I'll give you this much for it.
Yep.
Or, I mean, like if I'm buying several books or something, I'll just be like, hey, I'll give you this much for it.
Yeah.
Like, we just take a nice, clean, round number.
Yep.
So I did want to ask, like, when I left we met Matt my wife and I met Matt at
a vintage event called The Exchange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was really cool. And there's a lot of good stuff in there.
And you picked up a nice little item too. Little Swest. I thought it worked really well with the white t-shirt and the chain. I was like, I wasn't even.
I'm a fan of sweater vests. I know. Really am.
I'm like, that looks pretty good, dude.
It's not bad. Bad.
Because when you told me Swest, I was like,
You're like, I don't know.
Wow. You put it on. I was like, yeah.
You're like, that's the one.
That's the move.
The thing I was talking about when we were leaving though is like, I kind of understand the appeal of like it's close, and you would think it would be something that I'd be, maybe not. I mean, it's kind of like it has, it's like a weird stepchild of my interests, right? It has like certain things where you would say, oh yeah, this is right up your alley, and then it has certain things where I'm like, nah. But I left and I just had a weird, I don't know if I've talked to you about like when I did like music photography and I'd go to these concerts, and a lot of this was in like Nashville and kind of more hip hop centered. And this was in, I don't know, like 2016 to 2019 or something. Yeah. So it's been a while. But it was like Nashville, Chattanooga, and there were good kind of subcultures in both of those places. And I'd go to these events, and it was just always like part of it really. I don't want to say like it was kind of disgusting. It was just like very just like, hey, look at what I like. Hey, look at the car I drive, or look at, it was that same kind of thing, but done in clothes and done and this was when streetwear was pretty big.
Yep.
Like I'd say the peak of that. And so you had just kind of this, I mean, I don't know, like Clout, and signaling, clout chasing, signaling environment.
Yes.
And it just rubbed me the wrong way. Mm-hmm. And I got a similar vibe from the vintage. So I do want to make a distinction. It did feel like there were a lot of people there who were just like, I love this.
Celebrating it.
Yeah. And like very, like no pretension or no like ego about it. Even the guy that I bought the sweater vest from was just like doing his thing, running his business, chopping it up with some friends, eating pizza. Yep. Like just chilling, like having a good time. Like it was really cool. But then there was definitely some people that, so like in your experience, what do you, like how, what would you say the scales balance out to in that? Like, do you see more of that? I don't know, maybe it's just the younger generation is less, like they're more in it just because it's like a fun thing to do. Yeah. And they are kind of just running a business, but they're also, they care about the finding these pieces and curating these items, and, not the hustle of it. I mean, it seemed like a much healthier environment than that.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, there was definitely this feeling also of like signaling.
Do you think that was from the vendors or from the
not
buyer,
the vendors, from
customers?
buyers?
Yeah.
Maybe some of the vendors. I mean, obviously, I didn't like get to know these vendors intimately. And there's also this idea, though. We talked about it when we sat down. I've been thinking about this, just like collecting things or like just consuming things.
Yep.
To try to like, I don't know, like as a proxy to happiness or like just a little bit of.
I always
like,
call it
like purchasing dopamine.
Yeah, to fill the hole. Like I have a hole. And I need to fill it with stuff.
And like we've been talking about just off mic a little bit of like, people collecting movies where they just watch movies just to say that they've watched them. And like, it's not for the enjoyment of the film. It's to like check it off publicly to like tell somebody that, I've seen this or I've seen all of these. And like, just like, or reading a book or listening to an album.
Yeah.
Not because you're trying to enjoy the thing but just because there's 5,000 of these and I want to have these like cultural, I mean, yes, it's gathering cultural context, but also being able to signal that, you haven't, what, like anytime anybody's like, you haven't seen this or you haven't heard this. And, I mean, there's two ways to say that. There's like, oh, you haven't seen this. You got to check this out. Like, I can't believe you haven't seen this. Like, you'll enjoy this. But then there's also like, you haven't seen this. And it's like, a lot of fucking books out there, like a lot of fucking albums out there.
Yep.
A lot of movies. Like, I haven't crossed paths with this one. And it's just like this little way to like signal, even if it's kind of unconscious, it just feels like a superiority signal.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm going down a rabbit hole, but like, what is your vibe and what
I just think it's all of it. It's I think we bounce back and forth as individuals from all states within those behaviors and activities. I think at times each of us either has or is capable of signaling or not shaming someone, but being like, you haven't seen this, I have, what does that mean about me that I've seen it, but you haven't? And then I think at times it's,
you don't have the biggie or you don't,
oh, you haven't found a biggie before? I've only been doing this for 6 months and I found one, stuff like that. I think it's also, people just catching on like a house on fire and getting excited about what each other has and hasn't seen. And they're excitedly sharing that, and there's no judgment. There's no, think of between you and Alex, how many movies you guys have seen. And I'm like, I don't have any clue about that movie. You referenced the documentary in the last episode. When we were talking about that woman's YouTube channel. Fortnite ago. And I'm like, I vaguely recall you mentioning that in the past, but I'm like, that would have never crossed my plate. And obviously you're not like, oh, well, obviously I'm the superior student of film and appreciator of film.
Well, but it's
you went to film school and you've never heard of this movie? Oh.
Yeah.
None of that shit.
It's just like there's a lot of fucking movies.
Yeah.
Like everybody has different.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think there's something to be said for like having a common language that you can speak with people.
Yeah.
And like I enjoy, shared context on certain things. And obviously I'll have different context or different conversations with different people when I have different capabilities to my language because of that. Those reference points or that shared context. But I mean, it's not like it feels good to do that, but it's not productive. And I think it's pretty toxic to like our world as a whole but I guess, like the question, like in vintage and like specifically, have you spent a lot of time thinking about that or like how these things?
I have.
It is very consumerism based, and it sounds like I'm just trying to like shit in the middle of, of the flower patch.
It is and it isn't. I think like all things, it's all of that stuff, and if let's say it's the trinity here, and it's consumerism and appreciation of the art of fashion and signaling and all that, I think we kind of undulate from place to place. We're never wholly in one over the other, but there are times when maybe somebody's just has some insecurity in their life or whatever's going on, and they're sort of in this place of like, well, I'm not really like nuts about Metallica, but I found this original 83 Metallica t-shirt, and if I wear it out and I can tell people that it's original, it's going to lift me up a little bit out of my insecurity because I did something that was hard to do. Yeah. And then other times they're wearing something that nobody else is wearing because they just think it's an amazing piece, and they respect the construction and maybe the designer behind it or where it came from or whatever, and they're just wholly owning that. And then yes, at other times you are wanting you're in a state where whatever's going on in your life is creating a desire for some dopamine hits, and you're gonna start binging on purchases to make yourself feel better. So I think we're always moving back and forth between those states. And there might be some people who barely ever touch the signaling one or barely ever touch the consumerism one and are mostly grounded in the appreciation and, sort of like focused purchasing and deliberate needs-based purchasing, stuff like that. Because I definitely go back and forth between the three. Now, I'm a more sort of volatile, emotional, impulsive personality. There's times where I definitely am sort of insecure about myself in that vintage community or just in life in general as a content creator, and I do things that are born out of that insecurity. And then there are times where I am a dopamine fiend, and
I'm constantly like,
and need a hit. So I'm gonna go get crazy.
Yeah. I think, like, how do you? What would you? And I'm just reaching at like the things that come to mind here, but what do you think it like the pure? So fashion's always been something that's like tangentially interested me, and I've never been able to square it with. I mean, like I really like I appreciate. Part of it, I think, is just like I've never really been into like streetwear culture per se, or like certain aspects of it are interesting to me, and like certain like. Just ideas and approaches to design or like graphic design in three-dimensional space on people, things like that. I think that some of that stuff's interesting, but I've never been able to square fashion with the fashion industry because it just seems like, I mean, it's like a huge stain in my mind.
Absolutely.
And I just like so I think what I'm trying to ask, and I'm not trying to like, I want to be clear. I'm coming at this from like what have you, in your thinking about this, what have you found that as kind of like is the exhilarating part, like is the truth of it that makes it, because I think you can go to like, Italian fashion houses from the 60s or 70s, and those guys just loved making a good suit, or like they loved well-designed, beautiful things that, withstood. And there's still plenty of places that do that to this day, or they just love how like a certain material cut in a certain way and sewn together in a certain way falls on a human with this type of, this characteristic to their legs or to their torso or to whatever. Yeah. Shoes, things like that. But then there's a lot of just like, it's just signaling that also. So.
Well, I think that goes to the last event we went to, A Priori, about the wardrobe theory project and what he was talking about. It wasn't as grounded from what I remember.
Cool. Yeah.
And it was sort of like, one of the pressure points in the fashion world.
Just really quick, his idea was he wasn't going to buy. I mean, obviously, like, people have done like no buy. That's pretty popular. But he said he was a designer at Nike.
Yep.
Like had a decent resume for it wasn't just somebody who was like, oh, I'm just going to look at my closet and make social media
someone
videos.
who's works in
He was an artist
fashion
and very skilled illustrator. And he said, I'm just not going to buy anything for a year.
I'm going to go through my existing wardrobe and get really creative to see what's possible with combining pieces I hadn't thought of combining before, and thinking about sustainability and the environment and, the perils of fast fashion and what it does to the environment.
And kind of fighting back against that just need to consume and need to copy and need to, just buy a piece because so-and-so
all that stuff
was pictured in it.
The negative forces at play, or what we feel are negative forces at play in making the decisions that we make with regards to clothing. And so that to me was interesting. And I don't know, for me, I'm very early in that exploration, and I think for those of you who have been watching the podcast, you can sort of see the evolution of the clothing that I've been wearing as I have gone deeper and deeper into estate sales and thrifting and reconnecting with older tech, single purpose technology, vinyl records, music, all that. I'm certainly someone that can fall victim to the drug of purchasing something that is inspiring or interesting or high quality, the dopamine that's there. Or if I can acquire something I can buy this thing for $4 and sell it for $30, and then this thing that I keep that's $10, I'm still making a profit, but I get to keep this cool thing. I can kind of do that rationalization as well, to acquire more and more things.
Is this Dickies, by the way?
No, this is
This is such a just left turn. Yeah, that's cool.
Love it. I forget what company it is. You have to read it off of there. You see it?
Todd,
yeah.
Todd.
Just like a basic utility.
Yeah, that's cool.
With the crimson, the red inside.
Sorry, I just completely derailed your...
No, you're good. Yeah. Yeah, and all this stuff that I'm wearing is thrifted. This is a vintage thermal, 100% cotton. This is actually, the shirt is vintage, but this is a bootleg Nirvana t-shirt that I picked up as like an experiment to kind of go, how good are these bootlegs that people are making? And I'm like, I want to see. It was $40.
Yeah.
And I'm like, pretty damn good.
Not bad. And
then this is a United States Post Office cardigan that I got at an estate sale. These are vintage Wrangler jeans, made in USA. Shoes are not vintage; they're just Vans. But most everything, is stuff that I've sourced from my exploits. But look, I'm someone that's going to do all three of the things I mentioned before. I'm going to appreciate the art. I'm going to crave the dopamine, and I'm going to at times enjoy the signaling or the attention that having a sought after piece creates. And I can feel sometimes my brain going, you need to find a Detroit Carhartt, because if you find one, especially in a rarer color, like, it's going to let people know that like you're good at this.
Yeah.
And that's from all insecurity.
Yeah.
Which I have, dealt with all my life. And it's not like I am an insecure person, but it's insecurity in pockets of experience, at a Motion VFX thing in Poland as a YouTuber, at NAB, in the vintage community, like, am I going to say the right thing? Am I going to, and then that causes issues with sort of like self-management, and maybe you're not being authentic because you're like kind of playing a part rather than just being yourself. And it's just a whole mess of stuff. Yeah. But it's the duality between all the good stuff about the experience and some of the stuff that you wish wasn't the case. It's not necessarily bad or Matt's doing something wrong or cringy or whatever, but it's like, it's just not the best. I don't think that answers your question, but
no, I mean, I think you might be answering it in the sense that you're like, well, you kind of can't have one without the other.
Yeah, I just think for everybody, it's all of it.
And I mean, I don't know if I even disagree with that. I think I might agree with that completely. I just, I mean, yeah, it's just.
I think it's tempting.
It's like it's a shame that these are discussions that, like, these are problems that happen, and yeah, things get kind of co-opted and turned into these. I mean, it's just people want attention. I like so much of our world just comes down to like people wanting attention.
And I see it with it's just natural. I see it with my kids. Yeah. They want to show me their homework. They look what happened at school.
Maggie, when we leave her, when we ignore her for just give me attention.
Right. Yeah. Validate me. Make me feel loved. I want to know that I have value in your life, or that I make good decisions, or that we talked about that with like the sort of the applying of sort of fatherly role to some of these older men that I run into, and again, I think it's easy for us to be tempted to go to an event or meet somebody and to kind of, even if we have a sort of a gross out moment or a negative reaction, or they do something cringy, it's easy to sort of like take their behavior as a symptom of something, this maybe predominant character trait that we overall perceive of as negative. And I just have grown to learn, and this comes from everything I learned in acting school, and this is what's been so good at helping me have situations like that, but then search for the character breakdown that we would do in class. You're playing a douchebag, you're playing a villain, you're playing whatever. Like you have
like
to.
They're never just.
Yeah.
Like, there's always a justification that makes perfect sense in that person's.
Yeah, and there's other things going on. There's deeper things psychologically, and I've been, someone interested in armchair psychology my whole life, and just sort of breaking down people's motivations and why they do this or why they do that. And a lot of the ability to do that comes from holding the mirror up to myself. Like, why are you doing this? Why are you into this vintage stuff? Like, okay, yes, it is some parts insecurity. It is some parts avoidance of doing this hard work for this on this other thing that you don't want to do, because it's more fun to find an old leather jacket and sell it for $400 than it is to make a new Final Cut effect and sell it to people. It is a reaction to consumerism in the sense of, well, if I'm going to be involved in consumerism, I'm not going to hawk other companies' products through my YouTube channel and persuade people to buy them and use my link so I get a commission.
It's like, at least this way you get to...
They're interested in the thing because it has built-in value that I don't have to ascribe to it. They already know the Big E Levi's jacket is something they're willing to pay $300 for. I don't have to convince them of that. I'm just the person who found it and put it in front of them, and they can buy it or not. I don't have to say anything. Whereas on my channel, I feel like, obviously the best videos are the ones where like, hey, this is how I make my titles in Final Cut. I don't give a shit if you buy these plugins or not, but this is how I do it.
Yeah.
Versus, hey everyone, welcome to the channel. We're in the Edit Bay talking about motion VFX, and today we're going to highlight the M tutorial, and this is how I blah blah blah. Use my code and da 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 and da da da. It's a commercial.
Yeah.
And so this is also a reaction to that. It's like, well, how can I make money that makes me feel like, I don't know, like more grounded in the things that I have, that I value.
Yeah. Well, and it's also more like it's more customized to your vision.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're just one guy out of a million selling plugins, but you're one guy out of 25 selling X or Y or Z.
Yeah.
And how you curate that.
Right.
Like, yes, you can curate and be like, oh yeah, I'm doing video plugins, or like, I'm going to do the what's the Squarespace?
Yeah.
Or-
Squarespace ads. Yeah.
I'm just gonna, you could totally do. But yeah, it's like a way to be more of an individual, feel less like just another
A
blip.
sale, to me, a sales.
Which also, that just then it just reruns like the century of the self.
Yeah. And now look, I don't want to make it seem like anybody that showcases a product on their YouTube channel is like a sellout or a salesman or they're a piece of shit because they do it.
Yeah.
I think that that there are a lot of people out there that need people to show them tools and products that will help them make work.
There's been several things that I've bought or purchased. Maybe not several. There's definitely been more than one thing though that I've bought or purchased from an ad.
Same here. Absolutely.
That I'm like, this added significant value to my life.
Yep. And there are products that I'm like, look, this is so great. I will make that video. Like Auphonic, the thing that's processing our audio right now. I mean, it is magic to me. Every video I've made, dude, I just blended 2 different audio tracks. One was a boom mic in my back studio with the boom mic in my edit bay. I would have spent hours trying to match the sound quality of the two to like make it not seem like it was an abrupt shift in the source of the audio. And Auphonic just makes it.
Yeah,
whoop.
just did it. Yeah.
And I'm just like, the fact that this.
Oh, it makes life way easier.
And so there's that. And then there's effects plugins that I use and work well. And I'm really happy to have them. But, it's not so mind altering that I'm like, you guys have to know about this.
Yeah.
At the same time, though, the channels that I have on YouTube, I put links on some of them to my eBay where I have cameras and vintage clothing, because if people are watching those videos and they're interested in that stuff, they can go and check it out, because I do want to sell this stuff.
I've always wanted to do the like, don't buy anything for X amount of months, or like, obviously like you're buying food or like shit like that, but
gas.
Yeah, gas. You got to get the car repaired,
paying your bills,
shit like that. But I have always wanted to do the like, don't buy any new clothes, don't buy any new shit.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know where you draw that line, but I've never actually done it. And Audrey and I have talked about it before, and I mean, I definitely, especially if I get fired up on like a book or something, I'll just go out and I'll just
gotta have it. Gotta have it. Yeah.
Like it's just easy, and but I don't know. I might want to try that. Like we're coming into the new year, and I'm not like a New Year resolution person, but
just see what it's like.
Yeah, just like, okay, it's a good, that's the one thing about New Year's is it is a good point to kind of like drop it.
Yep.
The problem is before you get to these, I'm not going to buy anything. It's almost like an excuse. Like, oh, well, you better get all your shit in.
Right.
Like you've wanted this for a while. Just go ahead and get that. And then you bail after a month, and then you're like, oh, great. So I just spent a bunch of money and now I'm right back in. I don't know though. I might want to. I know it's not like feasible for us to do it as like a show thing, because you literally buy things for your living.
I know. Yeah. Well, and I'll add a little extra shading after you finish your point. That is part of the vintage thing as well. But go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, I've really wanted to try it though. I just like you're talking about this, and I'm like thinking about I mean, I've like how many times have I bought shit to like just get a dopamine hit or whatever, and I don't know. I mean, look, this is not a novelty. This is literally a massive trend on social media. Just no spend or whatever. But I want to try it. Not like, I don't really, I mean, obviously like money is money, but like just to see if I can break that. Like, oh, you need something.
I think it would be especially interesting if like you still, like you didn't say to yourself, well, I'm not going to go to Jackson Street, that you go
and just like,
and you still walk out with nothing, even if it's really hard.
Yeah.
Or, go do your normal life And when that moment of decision comes that you, because you've made that commitment for the month or however long.
I think you'd have to do like 3 to 6 months. Like draw it out. Like, what do you see? Like, give me a challenge.
Or
I don't know.
Or do this. Every time you had an impulse to buy something and you knew that you normally would, take that money and like just like put it in something, like set it aside, like actually transfer the $14.12 that you would have spent on Amazon to like, and just see how much money it adds up to.
I don't know if that would make the big difference. Like, I mean, obviously, like the money is, but I don't know if I'm as financially motivated as it is just like I have a deep disagreement with, because it's not like I'm buying books. Like you can buy a shit ton of books for like $100.
Right.
Like, it's not like I'm out here buying thousands of dollars worth of, whatever. But
$40 hardcovers fresh off the press.
I mean, it's like you can go to Jackson Street and buy 20 books and it's like $100.
Yeah.
Like, which I'm not saying $100 isn't a lot of money. I'm just saying, like, I'm not like $100 isn't going to change anybody's life. I mean, I that sounds, I don't know. Anyways.
Yeah.
Draw it out. Like, I'd be curious. What do you think? And then maybe I can come in and be like, okay, would I have trouble with that or this? I'm gonna have to buy asthma medication.
Oh, shit.
So
we gotta get a nebulizer or something. Jeez.
It just hasn't I'm running and I'm in pretty good shape right now, so I don't know why, but I just haven't lost the.
Yeah.
Anyways, what would it look like to you? I think I might try this. And then we could just literally check in on it for 6 months. This would hold me accountable. You could hold me accountable.
God, 6 months.
And just like you could, you would almost be like my sponsor.
Yeah.
Matt, I'm thinking about buying. No, but
buy this too.
very, very, like, I think it would just be an interesting experiment that you and I could just talk through.
Yeah.
Like, we just touch on it for like 5 minutes a show and just see how long I'm out.
It's only been 24 hours.
Well, that's how we got to start this episode.
I'm out.
Are
you the master of your domain?
I'm gonna have to watch that after this.
So good.
Yeah, I mean, what would it look like in your mind? Like, what do you think?
I mean, I would probably just say like, let's still like go see a movie and like have some experience-based purchases.
Oh yeah, no, like it's not.
Maybe you just say to yourself like,
I would go see movies,
clothing, more traditional products,
clothing,
hard
appliances,
goods, books, anything.
I mean, clothing, appliances.
I mean, what do you buy though?
Books.
You buy books. You buy, maybe a Le Creuset thing. Like it's tough though.
Fucking like motorcycle shit, or I don't know, car shit.
That's what's tough about
Bike
the thrift store or
shit.
the estate sales. When you come across something good, you're like, this is never going to be here again.
It sucks because I do buy, like, I don't really buy a lot, but other than books or like when I buy stuff, it's usually like, oh yeah, like I don't know, like I buy some nonsense. Trust, like, don't get me wrong, but I do try to buy.
Yeah. Well, could you like split it between like, is this a needs-based purchase or is this a desire-based purchase?
And desire-based purchases.
Yeah, and like the Le Creuset thing is like, I mean, yeah, could you get by with?
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't know, like you guys are building a reasonable.
Every book I buy, I'm building a library for my kids.
That's right. I know this is the rational. I'll tell you what my rationalization thing is here, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's probably just easy to be like, look, any hard goods, I'm not buying them.
I think it's got to be that. I think it's literally got to be like. And I mean, maybe like if there is some weird thing, I could just call you and just be like, hey, like, what do you think about this? We chat about it for 5-10 minutes. I mean, but I would love to do it just to see, like, just to put myself to that. I mean, yeah, just make it work,
Yeah.
work with what you've got.
Yeah.
Get creative with what you have. Like, you don't need something else. Take stock of what you have, get creative with it. End of story.
Yeah.
And it's just not an option. And I would love to just kind of follow that.
Yeah.
Just be like, oh, yeah. We went to Jackson Street. We hung out. I really wanted this. They had this book that I, super pumped about. And I went home and I read one of the other books that's been sitting on the shelf waiting to be read for a while. Or, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
maybe I would. I would just start with 30 days and then go from there and add on if you saw fit. 6 months that's a big.
Let's go January to like March.
That's a big commitment.
January to March.
Okay.
And there's no summer and.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then yeah, it's like if I have, I don't know. Like if my shoes give out or something, like
this is what I mean.
My Vans or
if you
something,
need
then,
something,
yeah.
or your running shoes get stolen, like you would need to repair,
like get worn out
them.
or something, and it's just But yeah, I think honestly, what I could do is I could just make a list. Like anytime I purchase something, I can make a list.
Yeah,
and I think it goes for digital things too, like subscriptions, things like that.
Sure.
The only thing I see is we rent a lot of like movies on Amazon sometimes just because it's easier.
Sure.
I'll probably still do that. I'll share it if I.
Yeah, and that's tough because that's like, watching the movies and
it's just
an enriching experience.
And especially, that's like all we watch movies all the time. But
right.
Yeah, no like, oh, buy this subscription package or anything like that.
Right.
Yeah, because I kind of want to, and instead of buying the thing, I'll just note down the urge, and then we can talk about it. Because, I'm just sitting here and I'm like thinking about like, oh man, like the consumerist of like fashion and and I'm just like, put your money where your mouth is. Just like, really see how it feels. Like, I don't know. It sounds exciting. What were you saying? Your justification?
So this other aspect of it, when you're out there at estate sales, thrift stores, picking through somebody's storage unit or something like that, like you can find stuff that is very valuable, and you can find stuff that also is going to gain value over time. So the Action Comics reference, someone buying that as an appreciating asset, 7 million, 7.4 million or whatever it sold for in 20 years, it's going to be worth 50% more, double. Who knows what by then. And so some of these people are buying these things for that reason. And I have found that something that has crept into my brain when I have found something particularly good, especially if it's a combination of high demand and rarity, where I'm like, well, I'm going to keep this because it's just going to go up in value. Now, this isn't like obviously a $7 million item that's going to appreciate. Even if it appreciated 25%, you're doing pretty good after 10 years or whatever. But I went to the thrift store and I made a video on my little vinyl project YouTube channel, and I call it a vinyl project because I'm not like trying to like be a vinyl YouTuber. I'm just documenting the stuff that I find.
That's a great name. Is there a vinyl project channel?
I almost like named Vinyl Project.
Hooks, just like Vinyl Project.
The Vinyl Project, yeah, that's interesting.
That's cool. Anyways, sorry.
But I went to the thrift store and randomly went through a box of 45s, and I almost never find anything good in the 45s. And if I do find something decent, like a heavy metal 45 or Pink Floyd or something, they're always scratched up and shitty. So I'm going through it, and there's this yellow label, and it's a label I didn't recognize, a record label I didn't recognize. So I look it up on Discogs, and this record has sold twice in the last few years for $500. This little 45 by a band called the Rogues out of David City, Nebraska in the 1960s. And I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah.
So kind of took it to the record store, talked to Mark, was going to sell it to somebody that was interested in it for like $100, do a quick flip. And then Mark was like, I think you can sell this for like $500 on Discogs. I'm like, really? He's like, oh yeah. He's like, it's in great condition. And so I put it in the YouTube video and I threw it out to the viewers. I'm like, what should I do with it? Should I keep it or sell it? And almost everybody that comes is like, keep it. It's going to go up in value.
Tuck it away. And in like 20 years, you'll have a...
Right. So you think about the Big E jacket, the bomber jacket I picked up. You start combining, again, rarity due to age, demand because of rarity, cool factor, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, I'll tell myself sometimes with a piece where I'm like this leather jacket I picked up today, I'm like, maybe I should just hang on to this, clean it up, wear it, enjoy it, appreciate it. And then, when my estate sale time comes, or if I sell everything before that happens, I'm going to have all the coolest shit. It's almost like I think about the art collection at the Jocelyn. Yeah. This lawyer, I think he was a lawyer. Yeah. Accumulated all this abstract art over the course of his life.
Crazy shit.
An amazing collection.
Like he had Basquiat's and
and I don't know if it's on loan there or if his estate still holds it, if they bought it from him, bought some pieces, whatever.
I mean, it seems like it's
a permanent collection.
It seems like it was like absorbed by the music. Like maybe he just said when I die,
he could have donated it.
I think it was that kind of thing.
And there's an element of that to it too. I mean, obviously it's not the same level. They're not going to be like, oh my God, like the stuff this guy got thrifting and going to estate sales, this Rogues record and this leather jacket and this whatever, like we're going to put this in a museum.
Honestly though, who knows how the, context of what these items are will evolve over. Probably not, because it is so mainstream already.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, definitely.
It's a consumer product rather than a work of art. Although, a comic book going for 7.
Well, I mean, that's kind of what I think we titled the last episode. Like, feelings and not objects. Yeah.
So there's that extra layer that pokes into your brain that says, like if I found a Cure concert shirt from 1986, and it's worth $500, like part of me goes, maybe I should hang on to that
an investment
as something that's going to gain value.
I feel like you could almost sell it though, and like put it into a, S&P 500
too, yeah, and it could appreciate equally or more. I think there's an argument that it could more. That's part of what I was getting at with your no spending, like accumulate the money, and then like if I put this in the S&P 500, for the rest of my life, it would turn into $20,000.
Yeah.
That
I mean, and that part's definitely like appealing, but I think what's more appealing to me is the
just the discipline of not
the discipline and just the tracing the urge and not doing anything with it. Like, oh, I want this. Like, oh, I want to, like, if you don't need to buy new bourbon.
Well,
like you don't need to try a new thing. Like you if you run out of something that you have, like, you can restock it. Like I can restock the Cuddy or something, but you don't need to go out and just take that off the table. Yep. It's not an option.
And we talked about that. I come up with that spectrum that made sense to me many episodes ago, but we talked about the spectrum of sacrifice and indulgence. Mm-hmm. And obviously you're going to kind of bounce back and forth a little bit from one or the other, but what happens if you really go to one extreme? And I think, extreme sacrifice, extreme indulgence can cause issues with relationships. It can cause issues with damage to your home. I mean, who knows what. Both ways, indulging, filling your home with shit, or sacrificing, not doing repairs and maintenance and stuff and things going bad. And so, thinking of it in that context of saying to yourself, maybe I have inched just incrementally toward indulgence in a couple categories of purchasing, and I'm going to try to take a look at the mirror image of that for a month or two, at 3, and see what it feels like.
Yeah. I'm just gonna start. I mean, I don't know if I'll start this month. Obviously, we've got
no Christmas present for you, Audrey. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Alex is starting. This is all a ploy to not have to buy Christmas presents.
Yeah, this is just a.
Here, I made a donation in your name to the Human Fund. The Human Fund.
To run Seinfeld reruns after this fucking episode.
Just do the intro sound
boom, boom, boom. Instead of ours. Yeah, that's what I'll do. No, I think I'll start, and I'll just start notching it down, and we'll just touch on it for like 5 minutes. And I mean, yeah, I don't know. I'm curious. I'm curious, like, because I remember the feeling when we left that A Priori.
The wardrobe theory event.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, that would be interesting to try. And I buy new shit all the time. I bought like new hats over the last couple of months, and like just stuff that I don't. Yeah, just really, hey, figure out how to use what you've got, and like that's it. And yeah, I think I might try it and just see where it goes.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I get a month, maybe I get 2 months, maybe I get 3 months, and maybe you get. I mean, momentum is. I heard something recently. It was like momentum is a spiritual quality or something, or a spiritual energy or something. It's
That's
like,
cool.
You see,
stacking wins.
Yeah.
I think there is something about that, and I think that where I am right now, which is probably much more in a state of these indulgences, like, and then trying to rationalize them because it's like you're trying to figure out if it can be a viable sort of business pursuit. Like, can I purchase all this vintage stuff from music to clothing, cameras, and have a big element of that be reselling for profit to earn revenue, but still somehow like keep it in a place of rational thought, discipline, or is it just gonna be a mess?
Yeah.
And I think the jury's still out on that a little bit because, just like you're talking about experimenting too with this idea of not buying anything. I think I am in a state of experimentation. Like, how far can I take this before there's like, because here's the other element of it. You start
trying to find the wall.
Well, you start buying vintage stuff, from a VCR to a TV to a record. Like, there's a lot of work that goes into getting them ready to sell. You got to wash them. You got to sometimes get them tailored. You got to do repairs. You got to clean the record. You got to just clean the VCR. And, that by itself might only take 20 minutes. But if you have 12 electronics that you have to get whatever, and then you've got 100 articles of clothing that not only need to be cleaned or dealt with, photographed, listed on eBay, double listed on Depop, you can get yourself into a state, and this is part of what I'm clocking right now, this state of perpetual buzzing of being overwhelmed, just feeling generally overwhelmed.
You're just creating a bunch of arbitrary tasks for yourself that have no and
then none of the items are so massively profitable that you sell one and it covers your expenses for 2 or 3 months, and you can just be very selective. I'm in a state right now where I'm more going for volume, but I'm also learning, like, what's the stuff that really has a high sell-through rate? What's the stuff that doesn't sell for shit? What stuff do I tend to keep that probably does have a high sell-through rate and more profitability, and how does that negatively impact what you're doing? All this kind of stuff. But then at the same time, you're having fun, you're outdoors, you're meeting all these people, you're getting so much fulfillment in other areas. But again, it's a lot of upheaval and chaos, and sort of the opposite side of the spectrum of where things were, 2+3 years ago. So it's fun to sort of like be aware enough to clock all that, but it's also a lot to manage. And I think, stress levels have ticked up while money has gotten better from combining this with YouTube and other things. you're certainly not like, hey, this is working great. Money's rolling in. My sort of what's all on my plate to do as far as daily tasks, all that stuff. I mean, like, it's a lot. So
Do you think you'll have to like reassess going into? We should do it. So Matt and I used to do this thing, probably I think from like 2019 to like 2023 or 20. I mean, honestly, like right before.
Oh
this
yeah,
podcast,
the annual.
Yeah, we would just
goals and
get together,
how
and
the
I
year
think
go.
at some point we just looked at each other and we're like, "This is silly." Like
Yeah.
not in like a, I mean, not in a bad way, but
No.
it was just it kind of got to where it was just like it was like hustle porn, kind of like oh, these are the metrics I'm trying to optimize, and we were just kind of like,
Yeah.
I don't know, the headspace changed.
I did find. I think I did find that for me personally, the way that I approached it, where it was less like the metrics toward the end, and it was more like, what do I want my life to look and feel like? And I would describe.
Well, and I remember when we made that shift, and then we never continued it.
Yeah.
And I would almost like to. I guess we've kind of done podcasts in the past where it's like I think I can't recall, but I feel like maybe in the first year we might have done something.
I think we should do it for an episode.
I do too.
Okay, so
And it's just literally like we'll just have that like we'll do it in the day. We'll do a day episode, coffee, just like we used to actually like go to a coffee shop, and I think we just like, hey, what do we see?
Yeah.
And then I mean, again, it's going back to that episode from a few weeks ago where it's just like, this is a great way for us to kind of hold ourselves accountable and like explore things outside of our own interpersonal dialogue.
I think part of why we got away from it was the other participants either fell off or they didn't really do it the way that maybe at least I was hoping that they would.
Yeah.
And not that they didn't necessarily take it seriously, but because I don't want to sound disparaging about their participation in it, but I feel like I had a grasp of it to where I really wanted to go pretty deep into the specifics of what I wanted my life to look and feel like for myself.
Yeah.
And sort of like what if it looked and felt like that, what are some of the results of it? And it could be everything from more intimacy with my wife to it's easier for us to decide to go away for a 3-day weekend or something, all these little details. And I think that would be interesting because with the last 2 years being a little bit more upheaval, chaotic, experimentation and all that, I think part of that honestly is from getting away from
having some kind of
I don't want to say
foundation or
goal setting. To me sounds like $120,000 a year in gross revenue and 80,000 subscriber growth. I don't know.
Well, and I think that's kind of what killed it for us originally.
Yeah,
and kind of
metric based
push towards
goal
that.
setting.
We're going to shift to do this, and then once we decided we wanted to do it more this other way. For some reason, it just kind of lagged and didn't continue. And
and I think that's helped me get away from exercise, which I think about all the time. I'm not walking. I'm not doing any strength training anymore. Diet, nothing crazy, but definitely a little more carbs and candy and stuff like that. Stuff that was not. And again, there was a little groove where discipline was at the forefront. I felt great. Mental health was good. Consumption of stuff was lower. Things in some of the big categories were really good. I just wasn't feeling as fulfilled. And now that I have a lot of fulfillment, all that stuff's a mess. So I kind of want to figure out
or reassess.
And see how to bring them, how to sort of meld the two now. Yeah. If every instinct you have in your life was wrong,
do the opposite.
And by logic, the opposite would be right.
It had been a golden afternoon, and I remember having the familiar conviction that life was beginning over again with the summer.